Hi, this is Nahid, and I'd like to welcome you to Class 3 of the Systemize Your Business series. Now, what you're going to notice in this program is that some of our classes are very short, concise, and just narrated by me. And then other of our classes are a little bit longer, and they include a group discussion. And that group discussion is with the people who were actually in the program live in our first go-around. So this is one of those short, concise classes, and the point of it is to make sure that you're on track and focused before our next group discussion. So even if you're in the live program, you should get some benefit of this, and you should be listening to this very quickly before our next group call, which is actually tomorrow. But this will be a short overview. The first thing I want to make sure is that you're taking your homework seriously. We asked at the end of our last call for everybody to set aside 15 minutes to think about your dream. That's not very much time, and it's going to serve you well, even if you haven't done it yet, to block off 15 minutes tonight to just think about your dream and jot your ideas down. So as a refresher, the dream is the most important and exciting result you want to create in the world for people who have X problem. X problem, X being whatever problem it is that you solve for your customer. Now, it's not necessary for you to sort of be a victim to what your customers say they want, because often what your customers think they want isn't exactly what you're going to provide them, because you may know the problem better than they do. Now, this came up in our last call, and I didn't get a chance to address it, so I wanted to make sure I addressed it on this. When you think about getting excited about the problem your customer has and how you can solve it, it is how you want to solve it, your special way of solving it. Okay, let's go over some tips. One of the things that we discussed on our group call last time was coming up with an ideal customer profile. Now, what I did, because I already have a business, is I took my current customers, the ones I most enjoy working with and that I'm getting the best results with, and I looked at what they had in common, and I used that to create an ideal customer profile, and I came up with a name for my ideal customer, and I called her Sarah. And it doesn't, for me, matter if it's a boy or a girl. It just happens that that's the name I came up with. But then I always think about Sarah when I write my articles or when I do anything for my company, and it really helps me stay focused on what's more important. So this is a tip. It's not necessary that you do it, but for some people it will be really helpful to think about your ideal customer and sort of build this excitement that you have around that person. Because then what you can do is imagine that person in your head and get very specific about what his or her problems are and what his or her characteristics are, and that makes it easier for you to make decisions about things. And then to get to this dream, what you can do is imagine yourself giving this ideal customer the best experience possible. So you can actually imagine in your head them coming to you and the pain that their problem is causing them, and then the best experience possible that you can have with them, getting them the best possible result, and get really excited about that and define all that because you're imagining it through a specific scenario. And what we might do on the group call is have some people share their stories of getting into their ideal customer and imagining this, just to make it easy for those who haven't gone through that process yet to understand it. So then what gets you really excited about building a great enterprise is imagining being able to do the same thing for everyone who has this problem all over the world. And that can be really exciting. I know that I never really thought about my business getting really big, but when I imagine my Sarah and I imagine me helping her with the issue that I love helping people with, and I think, my gosh, if everyone in the world that had this issue could meet me and be helped by me, or could be helped by my system in the same way I would help Sarah, why wouldn't I want to grow big enough to have it be helpful to everyone all over the world? So this can be a great, fun process, and what you want to do is get excited about it. All right, and the other thing that I want to do is remind you of all 4 of our grounding and guidance systems. So we're working on the dream right now, which is the most important and exciting result you want to create in the world for people who have X problem. But on the call tomorrow, on our group discussion, we are also going to go into the vision, which is your business concept. What does the business model or system look like that can make the dream a reality? Then we're going to look at your purpose, which is what does the outcome look like when it's translated to a specific customer? And you'll find that there's a difference between the dream and the purpose, because the purpose, for example, in my company, Aspyrre, the dream is clearing everyone's path to success. The purpose is how I clear one person's path to success. And the way I do that is by giving them specific tools, a tool set, and creating the right environment for them to feel safe so that they can look at things that they may not have wanted to look at before or may not have been comfortable looking before, to give them a sense of community, to give them a specific set of tools and models and coaching. And that is my purpose, is to do that. So the purpose is a little bit more detailed, and it's translating your dream into how you're doing it for one person and what you're actually giving one person in order to have them realize the dream. Then as a mission, I was a little bit confused by that at first, but when I re-listened to Michael Gerber's video and his tapes, how he describes it as the mission is to develop the systems that serve your purpose and create the business. So the mission is actually being the leader in your company and developing the systems, which makes sense. You're on a mission to create the systems, and that's what we're doing in this program. So just to give you some context, I'm going to pull back out here to the overall pyramid of all the systems we're going to be building, just so that you can see where we stand. So I am calling these 4 first systems the grounding and guidance systems, because they provide grounding and guidance. These are my words, not Michael's. So don't get confused and look in the E-Myth for where does he talk about grounding and guidance. He never talks about that. But I made this up because I think that these 4 systems, that's what they provide. Then we're going to be starting to work on client fulfillment and client acquisition next. And depending on how well everybody does on this, we may be touching on the top 2 systems, but we'll be spending a lot of our time on these foundational systems. Okay, so to prepare for the next group class, I want you to do your homework. It's only 15 minutes. You can do it tonight if you haven't done it already. Write down your ideas, even if they're random. And if you are feeling resistance, that's okay. We want to talk about it, because you are not the only one that's feeling resistance. And the one thing I think this course can do that any book can't do is address resistance. That's what Aspyrre specializes in. It's not so much, wow, I get an idea and I have an easy time executing it. It's what to do when you have a great idea and you want to execute it, but for whatever reason you can't. And in your mind you may think, oh, it's just that I don't have enough time. But often, if you keep telling yourself you want to do something and you're finding that you're still not able to make time for it, there's something else going on. And what my mission is to help you find out what's going on so that you can make better decisions about it. And if you really do want to move forward, you're clearing whatever's getting in the way so that you can. And if you don't want to move forward, you'll know why, and that you can just leave this off the table for a while, and you'll feel comfortable with that decision too. So if you're stuck or procrastinating, make sure that you write down what you think is getting in your way, and don't be ashamed about it. This is something that you'll actually talk about on the call, and if you're listening to all these classes as a recording, then maybe you'll get to hear on the call and in this group discussion what are some of the things that people experience that have them struggle, because that will help you if you're going through any kind of a struggle. Okay, the other thing is I want you to pay attention to questions and challenges and bring them up. So maybe write a list of questions that you want to make sure are addressed on the call tomorrow for those of you who are participating in the live call. I am tasked with bringing at least one good question to Michael Gerber himself. I'm willing to get those questions from you. So think about this. If you could ask the author of this book anything, what would it be? This author is getting old. He's in his 80s now, and I get to talk to him on the phone in a couple of weeks. So I get to ask him anything. I'd love to bring your questions to him and then bring you back answers. Think about what you'd like to get out of the group call to help you move forward. This is for those of you that are on the live call. And if you felt a little stuck, but then you wiggled yourself free, that's important too, because we need to hear how you did it. So this is the power of group sharing and going through the process together. All right, so I promised I would keep this short, So that is it, and I will hear the rest of you who are live on the group call tomorrow, and those of you who are listening to the whole thing as recording, your next recording or your next class will actually be a recording of the group discussion.